The Hadcast.
Good afternoon, or morning, whenever you're listening to this. We're back. I'm sat with Dan, who's pulling a giant, massive hair out of his crumpet.
That's not a euphemism.
That was not part of this intro at all. It's that long, it's got to be one of mine, but that's disgusting.
I said to you in the fridge the other day,
I don't know how that's got in there.
I saw there were hairs in the fridge, and they're not mine.
This is female problems. They get everywhere. When I'm in the shower and I'm washing my hair or conditioning it, I do try and clump them together and just stick them to the glass, so I can wipe it off when I get out.
That is disgusting.
How it's ended up in the marmalade, I'll never know.
I'm going to eat this, even though it's had your hair in.
Well, Dan would eat anything, so that doesn't surprise me. Yes, so we're back. We're a day late, but that was because we were all in the garden yesterday attempting to put a shed up in 400-degree heat.
And I'm not great at... it's not that I'm not good at DIY. I'm just very average at DIY, but I'll give it a go. So we had Jade's dad and Jade's dad's friend around helping. And when I say helping, I mean doing it. Well, I stood there and passed the occasional screw over and went, oh, my head hurts.
Mabel was in there as well with her. She just had her shorts on. She'd stripped off. She was in there with the shovel and everything else. So she was a little helper yesterday.
It was great. This is really good, this marmalade.
Because it had a hair in it. Extra bit of protein.
I'd literally forgotten about the hair. And now you've reminded me about the hair. Can we just say about Ibiza Final Boss microphone?
I wish that... We need to add the clip in of that.
I don't know where they've got it, but what I do is I post a picture of Ibiza Final Boss microphone.
Well, before we started recording, I kept saying to Dan, I sound so much more compressed than what you do. There's something different. And his mic did not have a wig on it.
A wig?
And he came back with it and put the Lego head wig on his mic.
It's called a windshield. It's got a pop filter.
I know, but it looks like a wig. It looks like Ibiza Final Boss hair.
Let's find a pair of sunglasses.
Yeah.
And put it on there.
Some teeth, turkey teeth and a chain.
And I'm going to post that as our picture of the week.
And he's doing the rounds, isn't he?
He is. I mean, who is he?
Is he called Jack? I think it's called Jack.
Of course he's called Jack because he's of that generation. He's either called Jack, Josh, Kyle, or what's another really insulting thing I can say about people's sons?
You'll get
Kieran. Kieran.
Cue the comments underneath. My son's called that.
I don't care. You should have named him something else. I know. Also, by the way, we have had one or two people say to us that they felt that our sound was a little bit quiet. We're hoping we've fixed that this week. And they've also said that they're really enjoying the podcast and they would like it to be a little bit shorter.
My nail lady, Donna, and I bring her up every week, she said that she listened to the whole thing while she was cutting the grass.
Yeah.
Maybe you just need to find something to do, but we'll cut it down.
Yeah, well, do you know what? I think today's podcast should be about an hour, but we're thinking about our weekly podcasts and any specials we do will usually be about 45, 50 minutes, I think, from now on.
Yeah.
And because I think that gives people a chance to listen while they're driving home or doing whatever they're doing. I'm just going to finish this marmalade crumpet because I've got a jam one waiting.
This is the third one of the 3 parts we were going to do to discuss Dan's life and job, and then we can move on from that.
We can.
And we can talk just about anything. That's disgusting. We got up to... I hate saying I don't want to say that.
Let's do our best.
So we got up to, we believe, just prior to COVID, and we said, I've just said it again, look, and we would sort of go from there because that tied into one of the questions. Done it again.
Yeah.
So COVID. COVID was, started in the March, didn't it? And we were watching it on the telly.
Yeah.
Not thinking this was going to be a thing and that it would massively affect us. But then it did, like you wouldn't believe. And me and Dan, this was before we'd had kids. We lived in a different house. We sat at our kitchen table and just watched the emails come in, one after another, just cancelling, postponing. We lost thousands in front of our eyes, and the panic was just horrendous because we didn't know what we were going to do.
It was numbing. I think it probably was for a lot of people in different ways, but from our perspective, we'd found ourselves in a position throughout sort of 2018-19 where we'd got married, we'd moved house, we were thinking about trying for children, we'd had a couple of miscarriages, which we'll come to another time.
That sounds like we've skipped a lot, but we're going to talk about the whole baby journey and everything on a different podcast.
And then we got into sort of 2020, and I remember posting a picture, and this is always pride before a fall. I remember posting a picture in Starbucks, sat with me looking on my laptop, looking all worky studious, and I remember going, Real Talent Management's doing really well. I'm busy with inquiries, and we've got a big diary ahead of us for this year. And then within 2 months, it had all gone, and I find that quite despairing to look back, because we had a period of about 3 days, didn't we? Around that March the 14th time, I think it was, where, I mean, Jade says we lost thousands. We actually lost just shy of 100,000. And that sounds like we had 100,000 in our bank and we lost it. We didn't. That was all the shows that I had booked in for the next kind of 15 months. And one by one they went. And so we looked at this going, what the fuck? What on earth? Because even if COVID had have lasted 2 weeks, it felt like those shows had gone from us. And obviously it didn't last 2 weeks. So we were living off beans on toast for a long time, obviously trying to do the online shows, trying to do this, that and the other to earn money. I mean, we went on to Universal Credit, didn't we? And our Universal Credit covered our rent, leaving us with £50 a month.
It was ridiculous. I remember contacting the estate agent to say to them, you know, look what's going on, we're not going to be able to pay this. And the bloke, he was so arrogant, and I remember being so mad with him when I got off the phone, because his response was, it's business as usual, as if to say, you know, you can carry on paying every month because nothing's going on, it's business as usual. It absolutely wasn't, and he would have realised that when he probably was working from home the following week. But that was the fortunate thing with people like him in his position. He could work from home and he could still earn money. Ours was completely cut dead. There was nothing we could do. Yeah. Hence, you know, trying to do online shows and generate money. They were good. They did generate, you know, money, and they did help us get by massively. And there was the odd person who said that they would pay early as like a goodwill gesture, which was a massive help at the time.
That's right. I found the level of kindness from some people to be staggering, and I found the level of selfishness from others to be staggering. And what I find really amazing now, and this happened to me only last week or a couple of weeks ago, somebody I met who was doing something for me, a transactional service was doing, we was talking about COVID, and I said, we'd lost all the money. And this person turned around and said, oh, we made an absolute killing during COVID, making face masks. And I looked at this person and thought, you absolute shithead. You know, there was
a few people, though, who were quite arrogant about how much. But like I've said to you the other day, let them have that moment, because they might have absolutely creamed it in for a year. But what they're doing now, because it's a long time ago, and in the grand scheme of things, it didn't last forever. And so they may have made a good little killing, but they're not making it now, are they?
No, they're not. But I also find the whole notion, and this just goes way beyond COVID, of anybody who is fortunate enough to be in a position to make money from somebody else's misery, even if they've not set out to do that, then well done, but don't fucking talk about it. Keep it to yourself and go, we were very, very lucky to be in this position when this happened. You know, it's like anybody that makes money out of a blimmin' crisis or a disaster, you know, well done.
It's just on par with like robbing a bank, isn't it? Whilst it's being bombed or it's on fire.
That's
right.
Great. Yeah, absolutely. It's
what an achievement.
Yeah, totally. And well, you know, don't brag about it, especially when somebody's just told you that they've lost money. So if you're listening to this and you won't be, well done.
I think it's not just COVID as well. There's plenty of people who like to brag, isn't there, about what they make and how they've done it and how successful they are. And me and you say this a lot, don't we? There's nothing worse than somebody just constantly putting it in your face about how successful they are or how well their business is doing when you probably know different. And, you know, I have to look at it two ways. I'm not being completely judgmental. And I think, you know, maybe they are trying to put out there that everything's great to hide that it's not. And it's their way of getting through it. But for me, no matter how well we were doing, I couldn't be bragging about it and put it out there. I think it's really distasteful.
Yeah, totally agree. And also, you know, I mean, this morning, for instance, I've launched a Kickstarter project for mine and Scott's album, where we're trying to raise £1,000 of the £1,500 we need to actually record the album. Now, I've got two ways of looking at this. Either I don't do that and make it look like I've got all the money in the world and finding the money for that album is no problem at all to us, blah, blah, blah. Or I go, no, we're not in that position. We're a small business. We want to make this album. We'd like the support. So I opt for the second, because you could put this veneer out and this facade where, you know, you stand next to somebody else's sports car and go, look at my car, or look at my yacht on my small fucking front lawn with weeds coming up. You know, I've just won it on Bullseye. But, you know, we try not to be like that. And we're not, you know, whilst I do pretty well with what I do in terms of, you know, the singing, etc., we are, you know, we struggle like any other couple. We really do. And we've got 2 kids into the boot as well. So
I don't think, you know, people quite realise, especially when I get talking to other people, mine and Dan's life, for whatever reason, every month costs us a fortune.
Yeah.
I don't know whether that's because there is, you know, 4 of us in the house, the cost of living is so high, but everything, our bills, the house, our life, you know, is a fortune.
Yeah, staggering.
You know, we often joke that, you know, we could have 2 small houses for what we have to pay out every month. And that is not a brag. That is I can't believe it. I look at some of the bills and I'm like, I can't believe they're that high. Like, why?
Well,
why are they that high?
Well, everybody's just gone up, hasn't it? But we were in a position. God, this ought to be called the Overshare podcast.
Yes.
But we were in a position just before COVID happened that we were starting to think about buying a house. You know, we was like, we get the deposit together. We were earning decent money. You know, let's start doing that. Well, COVID scuppered that completely, and it's only now that we are anywhere near getting back to zero balance. And, you know, because we lost that much and we had to, you know, we're hiked up to the max with the business loans and the cards that we needed to use and, you know, fish and chip store cards and stuff like that. No, we're only joking. And, you know, it's taken 5 years just to almost get back to level again. That's what kind of COVID did to us, particularly in the entertainment industry. It's not like I was working in another job and singing on the side. Singing was everything. And, you know, Jade mentioned the online shows. You know, it's a funny thing because I look back at I think I did 6, and I look back at the income, and the first one earned in ticket sales £1,500, you know, because everybody was so keen to support. And that £1,500 was like, oh my God, that's actually going to pay the rent for us and some bills and put some food on the table. That was it. And then the next one was 1,000 or thereabouts, which was really good too. And then the next one was 600, 300. And it suddenly became like, you know, because people were running out of money or people couldn't quite be asked, or, you know, that level of kindness that was there at the beginning, you know, other people have other things to worry about as time goes on. So we were expected to see that drop off, but we had to do stuff like that, didn't we? And then we went to work at the
well, I was just going to say, I think then we went and inquired about it in the August, and I think we started in September.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's it.
I'm going to sneeze. I'm so sorry.
Achoo. See if you can spot Jade sneeze.
No,
Achoo.
it's gone.
It's
gone. I didn't want to start that sentence and sneeze.
Yeah, but she'll suddenly sneeze out of
No,
nowhere any minute.
At least I've pre-warned everybody.
Okay, thanks. Yeah.
So we went to the showground in about the August,
Yeah.
and then I think we just went for like a day of shadowing people, which was just madness because neither of us had done anything like that for a long time.
Working for the man.
Went and started in the September, I believe, and so it was the showground in Lincoln on the A15.
Yeah, that was a fucking hoot.
Oh my god, I don't know where to even start about that. So it was obviously you would drive in, you know, somebody would hand you a swab, you'd then drive to another bit where you'd put your swab in like a bag and you'd hand it, and people worked at different stations, so we used to rotate round. We'd work on what they called reception, which was where, you know, people were being seen in, which I think was the best bit to work on. It was the most interactive and it made the day go quicker. And then you would be working. The next bit was actually just giving people the unused packets, wasn't it? And then telling them what to do. And you would have to stand on the phone. You'd have to point to a huge board and be like, "Can you ring that phone number?" through the window, and then you'd talk to them on a mobile through their car window and tell them how to do this test. They'd do it, and then you'd send them on their way. They'd drive down a little bit, and then sometimes you might be working on the next bit, which was taking the samples off them.
It was good when your ex-husband drove through the drive-through, didn't it?
Do you know, it couldn't have timed any better that day. We had just finished our shift, and the two girls, I think it was two girls, had come on to replace us. So we were all based in, we each had a porter cabin each, and there'd only ever be two of you in it at a time. Me and Dan always worked together because our argument was we live together. So if we're not spreading germs, just keep us together, you know.
Couples who work together live together.
Well, they were often quite funny about that, as if they were talking to a couple of school kids, like, "Oh, we don't want you being with your friend all day." Yeah. I mean, give us a break.
Can I just come in on this before you finish the ex-husband story? Do you know what that whole session at the showground makes me think? Anybody, because that obviously attracted people from all walks of employment, vocational life. You know, we had pilots working there, we had people from McDonald's working there, you know, everyone were there. Yeah. But what was really apparent, and I've just kind of articulated it in my head, people who had come to work there from better jobs were really humble.
Yes.
And people who had come to work there from what you would argue not better jobs were little fucking Hitlers.
Yeah, but
let's found that, and I thought, I know that's a tough one to say.
But they were of a certain category. Yeah. They were all sort of 18 to 21.
Yeah.
Their attitude was,
not
this
all
is
of
the
them
most.
Were that young kiddo.
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
They were earning good money for them, so they didn't want it to end.
No,
they were quite happy, and they even said that themselves.
COVID can go on forever.
Yeah, because it was an easy job. You know, if we had a bit of a quiet day, you can just sit in your porter cabin. They would bring their uni work, their laptop. You know, it was quite a...
Talk about the drugs they were taking.
Yes, it was quite an easy day, really, for those. So they were quite happy. But there was a lot of people there who, you know, had come from really good jobs, and like Dan said, they were really nice, decent people who they weren't showy, they weren't braggy. I think because we had that common understanding of, you know, we're all here because we've got no choice. Yeah. But it was an interesting job.
It was.
And then you used to have, when you got your dinner time, you used to be able to go to the big tent, big marquee thing, and you could pick yourself a frozen meal.
Oh, I forgot
there was
about
about 6 microwaves, and you'd all stand there just waiting for your microwave to ping off. And then at one point, they even took all the chocolate bars off us because the young ones were taking too many chocolate bars. So we had to go and knock on head office door and say, "Can I have a chocolate bar, please?"
No matter what,
what did it come
to? Thought about that again in my life. If you'd not mentioned that, I totally forgot about that. You see, even during COVID, when everybody's supposed to be working for each other, these little encampments set up in these little organised societies where there's people at the top and people at the bottom, and the people at the top keep the fucking whisper goads to themselves, don't they, in their own fridge. Yes. And it's like, don't give the workers because they'll take two.
But they'd probably take all the good ones first and leave us all the bounty bars and just chuck us a bounty every now and again. That'd probably melted a little bit.
Correct.
You know, it's like, that'll do for them.
There's only one thing worse than a bounty bar. A fucking dark Bounty bar. That's worse. Yeah, but you're right there. And so even in that environment, it was set up to be them and us. And I think it's no matter where. And do you know also? And I'm going to admit this for the first time, and I know I've said this to you in the past, but it was a strange thing because at that time I felt that I was doing really well in my life. In terms of I'd built the singing career out of scratch, and I'd virtually doing it for nearly 10 years, and I really thought that I was infallible. And then all of a sudden I was getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning again to go and put my high vis on and go to work. And don't get me wrong, I wasn't doing it through any kind of sense of altruism or helping the fucking world get better. I didn't care less. I just wanted my £10 an hour so I could pay some of my bills. I didn't want to be in that position. And there were times when there was people driving down the paths, to get the kit, and I was taking them out to them, and I felt ashamed of myself. I felt ashamed. I did. And I had no reason to feel ashamed, and neither did you, because what we actually should have thought, and we didn't, was we're not at home pitying ourselves. We've actually got up, got out and gone and done something, but it didn't always feel like that. And I know that when we first started going back to work and singing again, I found it a really hard transition again to go out and sing. And I might go out and earn in a night something that would take me 3 weeks to earn at the test centre, and from that point on, gratitude has never been quite so high, and it was a weird transition in and out,
I think it changed a lot, and it certainly made you look at things differently, because working for £10 an hour, which I assume everybody was on that, no matter how old you were, and I think this is why the younger ones thought it was amazing. You realise how much work you have to do to earn very little, and I think it's easy to lose sight of that, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It really is.
I mean, that has stretched into other things in life, I think, at the moment. I mean, I'm not going to go off on one, we'll come back to this. But, for example, I've always been a bit of a car snob, and I'm not somebody who wears designer clothes or anything like that. I'm not into, expensive things in that sense. But I've always liked having a nice car. I've had quite a lot of back-to-back BMWs and loved them, but they come with a price every single month. And I have got to the point now where I'm like, do I really need to pay all that a month anymore?
Yeah.
When I could go out for the equivalent I'm paying that every month and get something brand new, which is equally as nice, and just drop the... We've got a friend, Johnny, and he'll be pleased because he did say you're going to mention me on there. He had... It was an Audi R8, was it?
Yeah.
And it cost him like a fortune. I think it was about 90-something thousand.
Yeah.
But it scratched an itch for him. And he was very similar to me in the sense of, he'd been a bit of a car snob and liked to have nice things. And this was his ultimate, I want that car and that's that. He got it, kept it for not very long really, and then got rid of it. And he has now got a Seat Ibiza, a little blue thing, and he loves it. And he's happy as Larry driving around in that, and he's costs him nothing a month. And he says, we actually had this conversation yesterday of going from an Audi R8 to his Seat Ibiza, and he's like, but I love it, I'm happy.
I think that he actually changed that, because every time he'd drive by our house, I'd go, you're a cock! You're a cock!
Oh, God. He took me out in it one day, literally for 10 minutes, and I was like, you need to take me home. Yeah. You're making me feel sick.
That's right.
It was horrible.
Horrible.
Yeah, it wasn't for me.
So now,
but going back, because we're just coming away from everything, it was tough going at the showground. And some of the things that were hard that you would have never have thought about before was simple things like the weather. So it became utterly freezing, didn't it? And we were working outside. We had to have our cabin doors open. It had got October, November onwards. And we were going to work in layers upon layers. It was freezing.
It was, and it was sort of November, December, and then obviously something quite significant happened in that December 2020 because Jade fell pregnant.
No, earlier than that.
End of October, wasn't it? You fell pregnant.
Yeah, I think I found out on the 29th of October.
Yeah.
And I carried on working there.
Yeah.
But sometimes we would have to do a little stint on what they would call traffic, which was based outside
Yeah.
all day for your 6-7 hour shift, whatever we used to do, and you would just be stood in the elements. And I was obviously early pregnant, and I was just like, what am I doing?
So I decided to pull us both out of there, and I said, that's it. You're not being in this environment while you're pregnant, because we'd already had, a couple of misfortunes, and then I just wanted to wrap Jade up, really. So we stopped, and then I did a little bit of more work over Christmas, and then in the new year I went to work at the college doing some testing, didn't I, to earn a bit of money to be able to buy the wardrobe
Mabel's
and the
wardrobe, cotton drawers,
and the cotton drawers, and then we sort of stayed as wrapped up and as cheap as we possibly could until the June.
Well, the week Mabel was born was the week everything opened up, I believe. Couldn't have been any better timing.
But also, I mean, let's put this in people's heads. So we've been out of work for 15 months, okay, not singing, not publicly performing, and the moment the government go, okay, everybody, back to work for the entertainment sector, and people are going, yes, we want to book you for this second tonight. You're having a baby as well. And it was all of a sudden everything came back, and a new girl, a new baby to boot, and it was not that booted up, but you know what I mean. And it was all happening all at once, and it was like it came back like a tsunami, didn't it?
Oh yeah, It was. I'm grateful for when she was born, because I've got a friend, well, Sammy, who a lot of you know, the artist.
Yeah.
Her daughter was born in 2020, so right at the beginning of when it all started, and little Emily missed out on going to so many baby groups. I think obviously Sammy missed out on that, which didn't do her any good. So the fact Mabel was born when everything reopened back up was just, I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, absolutely right. It was a strange one, really. I mean, I think wrapping up COVID, I remember I went to perform on Christmas Day 2021, and because we had no money and I had to go, and was it Christmas 20? Was 21? Yeah, and because we were absolutely broke, because the government is kind of were promising to close again over that New Year period. I mean, they were just fucking us about, weren't they?
And December is obviously a really good earning month for Dan.
Yeah, and
that was the worst month.
It was. And I went to sing at these people's houses and caught COVID while I was there, and then came and gave COVID to my entire family, my baby daughter, my wife, my dad, my mum, my sister, my brother,
Merry Christmas,
my brother-in-law, and my sister-in-law. Well done, Dan. But I had to go. I was literally.
But you had sheets in your pocket.
I had sheets. Honestly, I was forced to go to that house to sing. I wasn't forced, but I had to, because we had no money. And then you end up getting COVID and doing that. We're fine. We didn't die till a lot later. It was crazy, and we got through that. And thank God that's done with. But then we were back onto it in 21, and then it sort of really started to go. And what about since then? What about since COVID?
Well, I think, and I don't know if anybody else, I'm absolutely sure they are, but like Dan said, I think it has taken, a very, very long time to recover from that, because, you can't lose that amount of money and just expect to get back on your feet instantly. Yes, we'd moved on from it essentially, but it's taken a long time to recover from that, because it was just horrendous, wasn't it?
It was. But I suppose there's lots of people who are in our situation, lots of people who weren't. I hope some of that's resonated with some of you guys who've got independent small businesses, because you know exactly where we're coming from, I'm sure. Everybody said, we're all in it together. We weren't. COVID affected every single family in a different way. My mum lost her leg during COVID through negligence in a nursing home when we weren't able to reach her. And, we took the care home to court and won the case for 4 year later. So we won it last year, which only 2 weeks before Mum died. Tough times. It wasn't just that, So we've got a lot of resentment and bitterness about being told what we couldn't do for the sake of X, when the consequences of that were so dramatic. But like I say, every family's circumstances
I
were
mean,
different.
what the people went through, like your mum in the care homes, was just
We'll do a special on that one.
Yeah, and that will tie in as well to all the women who were pregnant throughout it,
that's
you know,
right,
and what we'll talk about when we do the other one.
Exactly.
But yeah, the ripple effect was bad.
It was. I'm very aware that we've got some questions, haven't we? That we haven't really asked. So let's nip into those if you want to.
Well, it was Kat who'd asked about COVID, so I think that really covers that.
Oh yeah,
really.
I hope that has covered it, Kat.
Yes. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, what was it?
A bit an anonymous question. From an anonymous person.
Uh-oh.
5-year plan. What is your 5-year plan? Do you have one?
A 5-year plan, so that takes me through to 2030. I have a vague one, yeah. I mean, part A is I want to be still doing what I'm doing, with the quantity and the quality that I'm doing it at. I would really, really like to be touring the theatres fully, because we launched it obviously last year and Gary's been touring this year. We found it quite difficult to be in the theatres doing that at the level we've wanted to. I'd like to really, really develop the Robbie and Gary stage show, which is really popular, and I want our podcast to take off, and I also want to be able to do some voiceover audio narration work. If I can be in a position where I'm doing that in 5 years' time and all those threads are hanging together, I will be happy with that.
Okay, so it ties into a little bit, same person. One aspect of your job, if you could improve one thing currently now, what would it be?
Realistically, that's a good question. One aspect, the presentation of it. You know, as a solo artist, I go on stage and I'm very scant in terms of the stage. I've just got my speakers and not much else, and I'm just going on as a solo.
That's very hard though.
It is.
Even if you if money was no object, nothing was, I think that is a hard one to fulfill anyway, because you're up against it with the venue.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
And also up against it with it being just me.
Yeah, I think you'd need a team of people setting all that up.
Yeah, that's right. I think, this year I've done some really great shows in some really lovely places. I've done like Barcelona and France, and places like that. I've really enjoyed doing it because they've been absolutely quality venues. That's not to negate any of the venues I do. I love singing in a back garden just as much as I love singing in a theatre. But yeah, I'm always keen to just improve the show in small ways where I can. But I do feel that I've been adding to my show recently in terms of how I chat with people. I don't know when this started, but I've got a new wave of confidence recently about. I'm always confident about talking to people, but about insulting and having a bit of my own type of comedy within the show. I really, really, really look forward to that every show. It's almost like I get the singing out the way so I can do a bit of a sketch. And I make it up.
When you come out and do your first song, are you eyeing everybody up thinking, who can I pick on? Are you looking at them?
Never. Not during that. Not during that moment.
You just do it that snappy, do you?
Yeah. And it develops, because I'll go out and I'll start singing and I'll see who's just sat there not clapping or sat there looking uninterested or on the phone, or somebody who's really engaging, or somebody who is, just chatting away. And I think in my head subconsciously I make a note of that and go, right, I'll come back to you when the time's right. And I love that bit of crowd work, because I have a ability generally to think very quickly on my feet about something to say, and often it's really, really dark and I sometimes let myself say it, and sometimes I peel it back a little bit, or sometimes I'll hold on to it for a few songs and decide whether I've got the courage to say it.
I'm telling you now, I'm waiting for Dan to get lamped. He's going to come home one of these weekends with a black eye or a missing tooth, because some of the stuff you say to people.
I know. But they seem to like it. They seem to.
So From the same person.
Yeah.
If you could there was one song that you had to perform every single show, what would it be? Out of your set, I'm assuming.
As boring as this is, it's Since I Saw You Last.
I knew you were going to say that.
I know. It's so fucking dull of me to say
No,
that.
because that's good, and that's the song I mentioned before. That's the one I love when you've got fans there, because they all go mad for it, and it's such a good song.
Can I just pick that song apart for a second or two? Okay. When I first heard that session, Jade's just taken a big breath in as if to say, oh, what's coming, or do we have to, whatever. But when I first heard that song, I didn't like it one bit. I saw him do it on, I think it was called the Big Ben's Big Bash or something on New Year's Eve. It was the first time I'd heard it. I thought, this is horrendous. Absolutely. And I think he actually sung it slightly pitchy. I think it was slightly out of tune, and he sang it. I don't know why. Just was. I didn't like it. Then I listened to that song over and over and over again on a flight to Egypt once, thinking I've got to sing this. And I fell in love with that song like I fell in love with you, Jade.
Oh my God.
And anyway, and then that song for me, there's something about the way he sings that he sounds so different to other ways he sings it. There's little intonations on different words that really draw you in. I like lines like, obvious lines like "Let the haters hate," because that's a real big thing to talk about, because he still gets that. I like the line in the longest grass part because it's such a visual image. I sit and wait. It's like he's almost sitting and waiting for his moment to come back, or his moment, to put his head above the parapet again. It doesn't mean he's going to succeed. And I like the recognition of the fact that he goes, I'm not in fashion anymore. I'm not. But it doesn't fucking matter as long as I'm doing this. And
very relatable to you.
Really, yeah, it is.
Not in fashion anymore.
I've never been in fashion, and and I like that. And sometimes when I tell people that I'm a Gary Barlow tribute, I can feel this wave of come over them, like Gary Barlow, like they don't know what to make of that, because Gary can be perceived as this almighty fucking god, or he can be perceived as this, he's a bit dull, isn't he? And the amount of people that say to me, forgive me, it's, you've got more personality on stage than he's
I don't like hearing that.
I don't like hearing it. That's why I said forgive me, because I'm a bit protective about it. I'm not gatekeeping him, but I'm aware that our performances on stage are fucking different in so many ways, in that he's singing to 50,000 people and I'm singing to 50 people who didn't even realise they'd booked to come and see me. But I like, I come out on stage, and I think I'm a bit more energetic, whereas he's a bit more reserved. I think I'm almost a bit of almost like a Robbie Williams performer on stage, but doing the Gary Barlow stuff, and I don't know. So, but Since I Saw You Last, what a song. But why didn't he, in that song, sing "Go Fuck Yourself"? Why did he leave it blank, even in the edit on the?
Because there'd be somebody who was offended.
Yeah, that's probably right. It's like, no, just sing it. And I'm always cross that he does. I know he leaves it blank for everybody to sing in his live shows, but on your record, fucking sing it.
Yeah, I know.
So go fuck yourself. I'm even doing that at fucking old place. People where there's a load of old biddies now.
They won't hear you anyway.
They won't hear me. What did he say, Glenn? Ivor. Oh. Did he just swear? If he did, I'm off. Yeah. Okay, next question. Thanks, Anonymous.
Those are the Anonymous.
Yeah.
Oh no, there's one off-topic one off Anonymous.
Okay.
They're aware that your favourite food used to be pizza.
Yeah, big time.
Is that still your favourite food?
Well, I am on Manjaro now, and since I've been on Manjaro...
Watch him go skinnier and skinnier.
Yeah, I need to.
He's going to be the Invisible Man soon.
The Invisible Man, I hope so. And
size 32 waist.
Oh my God, I haven't seen 32. I've not seen a 32 waist on my cock since 1984. Can
I just add in there, for those who don't know?
Yeah.
Dan is actually diabetic.
Am I?
Yes. So he
Jesus.
is getting it because of his diabetes before people.
And all I want to go and get it because of my fat ass.
Because you will. Cue all the people going, oh my God, you're on the fat jabs.
Who cares? I don't care what other people think.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, this is it. People have got too much to say about Manjaro. It's like, oh, I wouldn't take it if I were you.
Dan, the whole nation's on it.
The whole nation's
on
it.
That they're not.
I tell you now, I got into so much grief online the other day from those people who were moaning about, well, my daughter's a type 2 diabetic. It's not all about the junk food cake.
And this is why I'm saying it now as a bit of a disclaimer.
Oh, it does my head in, Jade. It's like, I'm not having a go at your daughter because she's got type 2 diabetes. Comedy, there's no things that are off limits as far as I'm concerned, because once you make a joke about something, you reduce the strength of it. And nothing should be taboo. Nothing should be taboo in comedy. I really don't think, because what you can do, defend everything. You can't do, my son's got type 2 diabetes. He's got 4 eyes. It's not laughing matter.
But I think I've said this before. I am overwhelmed just by how generally thick everybody is.
Yeah.
You know, you're up against it all the time, and when you're putting something out there on social media, it doesn't matter. You could explain it in a million different ways, they still wouldn't get it.
I'm not peering back on what you've just said about everybody, because it's not everybody. You put 100 people out there. The problem is the 5 fucking knobheads who come on saying something. It feels like that they are the majority, because they're the loudest, most ones who comment the longest, going, whereas the other ones are just lolling or laughing faces or whatever. It's the ones that just go, oh, get your fucking bee out of that jar.
But why do people take a status like what you put on and somehow turn it as if you're directly offending them, and then they have to come back at you and say, well, my daughter this and this.
Yeah.
I can't understand that.
Because
how did they get to the point where they thought it was offending them?
I agree. And also, if a member of my family was X, if I saw, and this is dodgy ground, but I'm going out there anyway, if I saw somebody commenting on a thread somewhere else about X, I wouldn't go onto that thread and go, my daughter is this, or I wouldn't. I just wouldn't. I'd either say something that didn't include the my daughter thing, but that was witty and riposting, or I'd just ignore it. I would never see that as a direct thing to me, because, the people that were commenting on me going on about the Ozempic, they didn't know I was type 2 diabetic. I could be type 1. Who cares? They didn't, but they assumed that they think that I was attacking them, and they just assumed. This had one woman who said, "You're a man, you know nothing about hormones." Oh, really, love? Oh, really?
But what? Yeah. Off the back of his Ozempic? What? What's the hormones got to do with that?
Because she was saying how that she was 400 stone and all she ate was salad leaves, and she goes, "It's me hormones." And I was like, hang on a sec, love, hang on. I used to fucking milk out my boobs when I was 20. Don't tell me about hormones. You know what I mean? And so it's like, shut up, chins. Jesus
I don't think there's anything that I ever actually comment on.
No,
I never ever see anything that I think I need to reply to that. I just don't.
Honestly,
get involved in
I
it.
went to a doctor's when I was 19, 20 because I'd had a little car accident. And I sat down and he said, I'm going to look at your neck. I don't know how, and he said, can you take your top off? He said, now your pants. No, I didn't. I read just my top. And he stood there and looked at me and he said, have you got an issue with your pituitary? And I went, yeah, I have. He said, I thought so. He says, because you're developing breasts. And I was like, ooh, and when you're hearing stuff like that, and then some fucker down the line goes, you don't know anything about hormones. It's like, oh, fuck off. That's how I feel. And that's why I think now I'm old enough and long in the tooth enough to not care what they say about it. And damn me if...
Yeah, but don't you feel the need? Don't you want to say, actually, I've spent more of my life with a brain tumour that affects my hormones than I haven't?
Yeah, because who cares? she doesn't care that I'm saying that, and also she'll probably think I'm making it up, and then that person who's commented will then disappear into the ether, and I'll never hear of them again, never think about them again, and then one day later, that person will be replaced by another person who is exactly the same, saying, what am I going to do? Spend my life saying, hang on a second, I had this wrong with me. And no, so what I may as well do is just find my own nice way of calling them a see you next Tuesday. Do you know what I mean? And then move on. Yeah. Anyway.
We got a phone call when Molly had been born. We were sat in my room waiting to be discharged, and Dan got a phone call from the hospital. And I was just sat holding her, but I could see like the look in his face, and I was thinking, oh God, don't. Like, we've literally 24 hours ago just had this baby. What bad news is this? And I was looking at him thinking, oh my God, what are they saying? And actually, there was a few things on it, but one of the things was off the back of that latest MRI, the tumour was not detectable.
They couldn't find it
and it was
anymore.
gone.
Yeah.
Whereas the last one he'd had previous to that was 2016, so a long time ago, but it was still there.
It was, yeah.
So
it was.
We don't know whether that's all the injections he'd done over the years, you know, for us to be able to have kids. That's got rid of it. We don't really know, but we'll come back to that.
We'll do a prolactinoma special when we do it with the fertility. Our fertility journey, Jade.
I know.
Follow.
See, I talk to Helen Anderson a lot because obviously we've got
good old
children
Helen.
the same age. I remember Helen messaging me when I'd announced that I was pregnant.
Yeah.
And she'd sent me a message saying, do you want a pregnancy buddy? And I couldn't believe it because she'd already got 2 older children. And I think that kind of from there we carried on talking and still do. But the point I was getting to is, you know, Helen knows all about that journey herself.
She does.
You know, and it's amazing. I always think when you get speaking to people, how many people suffer with things you don't realise, you know.
Yeah. I have to say, I am really looking forward to talking about that. Yeah. I find these podcasts helpful. They're quite therapeutic in the sense that it gives you a chance to order your thinking, you know, and really you're trying to describe it to a bunch of people who are listening, and so it makes you really think about, you know, the order of things. But yeah, it's going to be hopefully that'll be an interesting podcast. And
we've got 2 lined up. We're going to do one all about the whole fertility thing, but we're also going to do one on bullies.
We are,
because that has stretched across both mine and Dan's lives and our friends.
Yeah.
And so that'll be a good one.
We've got somebody who's going through it at the moment, and it's brought it to our attention again. We despise bullies. I mean, despise them, and we see it online.
But to put it in a complete nutshell, you are never ever going to bully somebody unless you are jealous of them.
Correct.
And that is the only thing, because there is no other reason, is there?
That's right.
None.
Exactly.
If you don't feel anything for somebody, if you don't envy them, you don't bully them. You don't even think about them.
Right.
But when you find out other people are talking about you, been bullying you, it's amazing how they want to put you in their life so much.
Yeah. Bullies are turds.
They are.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay.
So we've covered COVID.
Yep.
We've covered everything. So to wrap this up then, because this is the 3rd one.
Oh, yeah.
Since coming back and everything being okay in the world, going back to normal as can be.
Fucking hell, it's not normal.
Well, you know what I mean.
I'm
being able
incredibly
to
concerned about where we are at the moment in the world. Really, I hate what's going on in the world. I don't know the future of entertainment in terms of what we're doing. I'm confident with, but the world in which we're doing it is, I'm far from that. And as I get older, it's giving me more and more anxiety, I must admit. Sorry, Jade, carry on.
No, it's fine. But everything's obviously fine now. Yeah. Everything's back to normal, busy.
Yeah.
You know, we've gone obviously through the point now where of me travelling. I'm very selective now on what I go on. I only sort of piggyback on the ones I want to, and when the kids aren't here.
Yeah.
Like I went to Barcelona with Dan, which was nice, but we weren't even there 48 hours. But do you know what? I had the best sleep ever. So even if I had to go all the way to Barcelona for that sleep, I'd do it again.
I really enjoyed that. And do you know what? For the record, it's really, you know, a lot of people ask about Jade when I'm, you know, going to different venues, and so I've not seen her for ages, and does she ever come with you in this? And my answer's just the same. She really doesn't give a shit anymore. No, it's...
Our time is very precious
It
now.
is. And I would much rather Jade have those times when the kids are away to stay at home and just, replenish yourself and, just have that peace and quiet. But I do miss her on the road because we used to have, good fun in the hotels on the road and, just throwing the Gideon Bibles out the window and ordering room service, and and we compiled all the stories that come with going around the northern working men's clubs and stuff like that. And I do miss you on the road, and I wish you'd come with me more often. But maybe there'll come a time when the kids are old enough and they can occasionally come and see.
Yeah, well, I was only saying to my mum yesterday about maybe her just having Molly one weekend and me bringing Mabel, because she's obviously at an age now where she is she's no trouble, she's easy.
Yeah.
And she's said before about coming to see you sing, hasn't she? And I thought it'd be really nice to take her to one where it's a hotel, and I think she'd love it because she'd find the whole being in a hotel and we could get room service. I think she'd love it. And obviously some of the hotels have got a pool, we could go and have a swim.
Yeah.
And so I am going to find one that's got those things and take her, as long as it's not like Inverness or somewhere.
It would be nice to do that. I think Mabel will get more into it as she gets a bit older. Can I just say I'm performing at Liz's wedding tomorrow in Sheffield, and Liz was the Million Love Songs girl from from the main Since I Saw You Last DVD tour, and then I'm down in Seabourn on Saturday, and then we've got a busy few weeks coming up with different shows, haven't we? We've got a couple of Scott and Dan shows coming up. I also want to give a shout out to my niece Florence, who you may have seen from my Facebook post today. Has got her A levels and did A in astrophysics.
I mean, it's just not normal, is it? It's not normal to be that clever. She's just
ridiculous.
Sensational.
Yeah, I mean, my immediate family, we're a working class family. Not from a bright sparks. Although we've got one or two, but Florence has really excelled. A in astrophysics, A star in sums, and A in harder sums. She got into Warwick, and I think she'll be with NASA in the not too distant future. I genuinely do. She's a real brain box and a real testament to my brother Richard and my our lovely sister-in-law Catherine, who have brought her up. Yeah. I
said it's a big year for Mabel and Florence, because they are starting uni, starting school.
They are.
Big year.
Big year for anybody with kids starting school who hasn't gone through it before. We're scared to death, aren't we? 3 weeks to go. 3 weeks as of yesterday.
Yeah. She's got 2 days on. They go back on the Thursday.
3 weeks today.
And the Friday. So she does like a Thursday morning, Friday afternoon, and then straight into it full time.
I mean, 3 weeks is not long, because once you get through next week, the following week you're kind of prepping.
I do feel like this has gone quick, considering how much we were like, oh my God, this is going to be awful, 6 weeks.
But she's been a joy.
She has, and we've got a few things coming up. I have felt guilty at times, that we haven't done enough, and we haven't, because again, coming back to social media, you log onto Facebook and all you see is everybody with the tag making memories. Yeah. That term makes me feel a bit, that term gives me the ick, but it's what everybody says, isn't it? But I just feel like it's so easy to look at all that and think, I'm not doing enough. And, you can make yourself feel bad. But again, social media, you only see what people want you to see. So what are they doing the rest of the time? They could be at home bored. You're only seeing what they want you to see. But it does make you feel like, should I be doing more? But we have got some, things coming up, and we're having a day out at sundown with the family and Mabel, which was called Pets Corner when I was a kid.
Pets Corner, my mum and Auntie Beryl used to call it.
There's a swing there that I believe is still there. If it's not, I'll be gutted. It's the monkey swing, and it's ancient. Everybody's kid has sat in there and had a photo. And I've seen ones not too long ago, and it was still there. You watch, we'll go, and it's been demolished.
You'd be condemned,
But I remember all the little houses and things there. And
I'm looking forward to it.
I've not been for years.
We used to catch the bus out there from Gainsborough. Yeah, once a week the bus would come and we'd go out there. I don't know whether you've got anything else. Just going to say to end, Jade just mentioned the word ick.
Yes.
Give the word ick. So if you've got to this point in the podcast, I'm gonna post on my Facebook, along with a link to this podcast, the word ick. And so if you get to this point, underneath on the comment section of Facebook, or also on the Spotify comments or YouTube, give us your biggest ick.
Yes.
it can be about.
I love hearing these.
Yeah, I do. It's usually about somebody that you've gone out with before,
or just your husband, or somebody, someone, just something.
What gives you the fucking ick about the person that you choose to have children with? You know, and Jade can do. No, me and Jade don't have dicks, mate. I'll be honest with you. Jade has no icks for me, and I'm not saying that to curry favour or anything like that. I don't feel any kind of low-level disgust about my wife. And I expect her not to about me either. Went out with a girl once. She had very unshapely calves. And it's put me off ever since, to be honest with you.
That's true. Yes, you told me that, didn't you?
Unshapely calves and hairy.
Do you know what gave me the ick about a boyfriend years and years ago? He was, and this sounds rotten, he was too thin.
Oh, yeah.
And I just, I didn't like it. Just too thin. And I think there's a thing now, like, it is true. I think people prefer a bit of a dad bod.
I hope
someone
so.
with a bit of something on him.
I'm throwing that Majaro in the bin today.
I mean, this ex-boyfriend, bless him, he probably had like a 30-inch waist.
Oh my God!
And it just, you know,
die for that.
No, I know that gives me the ick.
Well, one of my ex-girlfriends had a moustache, and then another ex-girlfriend of mine used to walk with her feet out at 10 to 2. Fucking hell! I thought I was going out with Charlie fucking Chaplin. Actually, Charlie Chaplin had a moustache, so it might have been the same person.
Do you know what icks me out just about people in general? You know when you're talking to somebody and you're looking at them and they've got stuff gathering in the corner of the mouth?
Don't.
And I can't stop looking at it. It makes me feel sick. And white stuff.
And when they open the mouth, it goes...
And it's got strings.
Strings.
The strings, like, get longer.
Because imagine licking that off.
Oh, damn. Makes me
just imagine
sick.
licking it, licking the corners of their, licking the spittle, the white.
But what's happened to it for it to get
spittle.
white?
I don't know. I wonder whether it's a bit of toothpaste stroke cheese.
You're being kind.
I am, but it's like, it's awful. It's fucking horrible.
I'm a bit. That's a thing for me. That is like that would be a big turn off in men for me if they didn't have good mouth hygiene. Didn't brush their teeth good and had like things in the corners of their mouth.
I don't like it when you can visibly see somebody's tartar build up on the bottom of their teeth. You know, at the bottom where the gums are, and you get a bit of white sediment. Oh my God! That starts because you know it stinks. You know,
but you know that person's not brushed their teeth for a long time to get to that
but
point.
Also it can be something. It can be a bit confusing because they could have had a fucking sandwich, right? And those bits could have stuck in. I know that's not obviously plaque, but it looks like. Yeah. Oh no!
But I never ever. I don't drink full fat Coke, but on the odd occasion that I have, that stuff instantly makes your teeth feel furry.
Does? Yeah, it does.
Like, you know, you could have brushed them and have a full fat Coke, and you have got fur jackets on your teeth.
I often come off stage sometimes, right? And as I've got older, I don't know why. At home, I don't check myself in the mirror much because you know what it's like. You've got kids, you don't have time for any self-fucking care or grooming. But when I'm going on stage, I'll stand in front of a mirror, obviously getting changed, and I'll be like, I want to go out looking the best I can. But then obviously I look like I've been dragged through a hedge backwards on stage. And then when I come off stage, the first thing I do is look in the mirror to see if I've developed a bat. You know,
Dan had a bat this morning as he was going out the door.
It wasn't a bat. It was a bit of tissue from where I blew my nose. It must have just come off.
But if I hadn't have told you,
I'd have gone out with a tissue bat. But I checked myself, and if God forbid I've got a bat or a bit of white build-up in the corner of my mouth where I've been singing, I think, fucking hell, how long's that been there? I think, God.
You've got a bit of a thing about your mouth, though, because whenever we go anywhere or eat anything, he will find, like, bits of paper or receipts and start, like, scraping through his teeth. Have I got something in my teeth?
I'm like,
this doesn't even cross my mind.
But it does
Why
me.
do you...
Well, if you smile and you've got big herb there, it's like, fucking, can you imagine? It's like, you're seeing, you shoot a big shit grin at somebody and you smile, you've got a big bit of fucking gherkin sticking out. It's awful. Hello there. Oh. It's like, hi, good morning. It's like that bit of stuff that's stuck in your tooth makes a sound in your head. It's true. So I've got a bit of a thing about it. So that's a bit of an ick. Yeah. Toenails, dirty toenails,
long white bits.
Long toenails. I mean, for men, for women, I think men will obviously look after their feet less than women will. You know, but when you see a woman with long toenails, you think, what the fuck have you been doing?
Well, the man who delivered Mabel, Darren, my old midwife, he commented to us, didn't he, about how many women's feet he clearly sees that don't have socks on, and called them trotters.
Look at the trotters on that.
But to be fair, when you're like, you've just gone into labour, maybe the state of your toenails aren't the first thing.
Because you can't quite reach down.
But I sort of prepped. I went and had my toenails done before I went into hospital.
You did?
Because I am a bit aware of stuff like that.
You did?
I wouldn't want to, unless it was a complete surprise and she was coming and rush.
But there shouldn't be fucking, fucking mushrooms in the first place, should there really?
No.
Even a bit of sock that's gathered in there is unforgivable, because you look at it and go, fucking hell, I know that's sock, because I just know it's sock. But you wouldn't then go to the beach, or you wouldn't go to the swimming pool with a bit of fucking sock in the corner. You'd get the sock out, get that thread out, because it's like, I can't have somebody, if you look down, I mean, I think it's actually a really rude thing to look at somebody's feet. If you go to, say, Eden Hall, you would never ever stand with somebody. Say you're sort of a vague friend there or an acquaintance, and you stood there in your shorts or bikini. You'd never look. You just don't look at the fucking feet.
Damn, that thought has never crossed my mind.
You won't look at your feet.
To look at someone's feet or not.
It's rude to look at somebody's feet.
Why?
Why would you look at somebody's feet? You just don't. Can you imagine getting into a lift with somebody if you had no socks on, and you both stood there, and the person across from you starts looking at your feet? If somebody got
into a lift with me with no socks on, of course I'm going to be looking at their feet, thinking, why are you in here with
but you wouldn't
no socks
hold
and
the
shoes
gaze. You wouldn't examine the feet in a big way.
This is the strangest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, you wouldn't look down and go, would you? You just not look at the feet in the same way.
This is rich coming from Dan, because I think he stares at people.
I do,
and it does my head in, because I'm like, you need to not stare. I think it's a bit of a man thing. I don't think they're staring because it's like a young girl or anything like that.
Steady.
Because Dan stares at anybody and anything, and I'm always like, stop staring.
I know why
they're going to look at you.
I know why I do it. It's because I'm completely taking that person in, and I can't help myself sometimes. I look and I'm watching the facial movements. I particularly like it if they're not looking back at me. If they're looking at me, sometimes I play a little game where I try and hold their gaze for as long as I can. Sometimes they give up, sometimes I give up.
That's weird.
I know it is, but people don't look at each other. Strangers don't look at each other. I would not
hold my gaze with a stranger. That's weird.
Yeah, man or woman or beast. Gainsborough, beasts.
Oh my goodness.
I know. So
you're a strange one.
I know. I think we're there, aren't we?
Yeah. So
enjoy that. Thanks.
I think we'll wrap up with your little work journey now, even though we'd just come away from it and branch off.
Yeah, there'll be other things. I'll try and do an update of what I've done and what we're doing every week, but we'll focus on other things.
We've got the odd funny story.
We have. Yes. Any questions, please let us know.
Tell us your ick.
Tell us your ick. I can't wait to hear. I hope people put it down. Also, follow us, please, on Spotify. Like anything that you can. Comment where you can. You might think that it doesn't make a fucking difference, okay? But it really, really does make a big difference for engagement.
We are going to start filming this soon.
We are.
Which is a shame, because at the minute we get to do it looking like a pair of crackheads.
Well,
I mean, at the moment I'm just sat in like some crop top bra thing and a pair of leggings and no makeup on. I wouldn't film myself looking like this.
No, and I'm sat in my pants, and around my crotch area it looks like Terry Waite's allotment.
He wanted to get that in.
I did.
He saw it as a joke the other day.
It was on Roger's Profanosaurus from Viz, which I think is brilliant. It was talking about minges that are unshaved. And I know it's a cultural thing for anybody around in the 80s, 90s, but they said, oh, fucking hell, she had a minge like Terry Waite's allotment. And I laughed for 10 minutes. And then I told Jade, who laughed for no minutes. So...
Only because half the stuff he tells me, I don't know.
Well, she didn't know who Terry Waite was. Which it was a complete fucking waste of my time and hers.
I've lost a lot of my life listening to stuff from Dan. If we added all the minutes up, I've probably lost a good few months that I'll never get back. I don't even, like, he will start now. He even looks at me as if to say, should I start? And I'll sigh and just
she
be
sighs.
Like, oh.
It's like
he still carries on. Like, how does he not
sighs
take the hint?
Because I try and educate her in ways that in mysteries that she'll never grasp.
Okay.
Listeners, thanks for listening. It's been about an hour, so I think that's okay.
Yes.
Thank you. We've enjoyed
Thank
this.
you.
Hope you have. Thanks, Jade.
Thank you, Dan.
Say, call me by my name. Gives me power.
Oh my God.
See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.